Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to the first episode of Armchair Athletics. I'm Mike.
This is D.
We're here to keep you up to date on all your sports and fantasy needs. So we're going to jump into this right away. I want to know your thoughts on the craziness going on in Oakland.
The craziness going on in Oakland. Where do we start? Do we start with this beast of a man named John Gruden, who's just walking around locker rooms screaming at NFL players about how they're not men?
He looks like a Chucky doll.
I know. Well, that's the common theme. I think he walks in, he's like, "Hey guys, want to play?" This guy is crazy. But no, let's start, of course, with the main news of the NFL right now. Well, co-main news, I guess you could say. But let's start with this AB trade. What do you think of the blonde mustache and the blue dreadlocks headed to Oakland, Las Vegas, San Francisco?
Who knows where they're going to play?
San Jose.
How do you get kicked out of your own stadium?
You do crazy things, like pay people bunches of money for something they've never done.
They just told him to leave.
Gruden's never won a Super Bowl. I think people forget that.
Yeah.
He went to one AFC championship game. And they paid him like he's the freaking Derek Carr whisperer.
Wait, Gruden won one Super Bowl?
Not with the Raiders.
Not with the Raiders, but he did with my team.
Yes, he did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the team that was already started. Yes,
he inherited that Super Bowl
by a true legend of a coach.
That is, we can't take that away from him. But yes, AB going to Oakland. We'll call them Oakland. They have one more season called Oakland Raiders.
Let's just call them the Raiders.
Let's call them the Raiders.
All right.
AB going to the Raiders is going to be crazy. AB is a monster no matter which way you slice it. There can't really be an argument that he's going to go out and just throw goose eggs. Like, this guy is going to be great no matter who he plays for or what team he plays on.
He's also going to be extremely insane. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, he was this humble dude who got drafted late and just went out there and outworked every receiver on the field. And now he's going on LeBron James' talk show and acting like he's a thug.
You know what happened? Is he caught for 1,500 yards. He realized he was a monster and was like, you know what, I could do whatever I want.
And the humble just went out the window.
That's what happened. When you have, last season, he had 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, 2017 season, I'm talking like, not 18, 2017 season, 9 touchdowns and 1,500 yards.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is an animal. He's a straight freak as far as wide receivers go. And then as like a regular person, he's also a freak. But this is going to be possibly great for the Raiders. That's, I guess, might be the common opinion. I honestly think this is going to be hectic. And I think that there's going to be weekends where Derek Carr throws 6 touchdowns to AB and weekends where AB is throwing Gatorade coolers at everyone because he hasn't touched the ball yet.
He just turns into a crazy person on the sidelines because he's not getting the ball.
Yeah.
We've seen that AB before. I don't see that happening at all. I don't see AB going out and having bad games with Derek Carr throwing him the ball. Derek Carr is a beast. This dude cannot be stopped, and especially when you give him a target like AB, this guy is going to throw for crazy amounts of yards this year. He threw for 4,000 yards with nobody. His number one target was a tight end. You give that guy a target, he is going to kill it.
Let's break down Derek Carr's numbers. Like you said, he threw for 4,049 yards, only 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, still almost a 2-to-1 ratio. But we got Jared Cook as the top receiver, and this dude was like, he was registering for his AARP card, and the Oakland Raiders called him up, and they came and picked him up to play football, and it ended up turning into 68 receptions for almost 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then the second leading receiver was in line behind Jared Cook to get his AARP card. Jordy Nelson was 63 receptions and 739 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then the third leading receiver was a running back named Jalen Richard, No one knows because he never speaks. 68 receptions, 607 yards, no touchdowns. That's what Derek Carr was working with last year.
And he threw for 4,049 yards. So when you put somebody in front of him like AB, there is going to be no stopping this man. Nothing is going to stop this pair from going bonkers next year.
Except them. And you throw in John Gruden. So you have like this super sensitive Christian dude who's like known for kind of being soft, and they were making fun of him for crying. You have him, and then you have AB coming in, and he like turned into like a SoundCloud rapper overnight, and he's on LeBron James show and doing interviews with people talking about how gangster it was to grow up where he lived. And then you have John Gruden, who is a coach out of a Family Guy skit. Like, dude, I can't take them serious. The potential is there, but I don't see this meaning anything in a division with Patrick Mahomes, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. I don't see this meaning anything. I see decent numbers, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to completely disagree and say these guys are going to go bananas next year. When we're talking about playoffs and the potential for that, they're going to have a hard run at it. I don't see them being a playoff team next year. But if we're talking about fantasy numbers, Antonio Brown is going to go off next year. He is going to be the number one target. I mean, this guy in 2018, when he had Juju backing him up, still received for almost 1,300 yards and caught 15 touchdowns. That's when he's not the clear number one. He had a great secondary option in Juju. So now, when he's really the only receiver, one of two things can happen. He's either going to get all the attention and be double covered all the time, or he's going to make huge plays. I see that guy coming through making huge plays every weekend.
Well, the Raiders do have 38 picks in this draft, so it is possible. They have like 11 first-round picks. They could pick something up to help him out, but he might get that Amari Cooper treatment where and then the whole city and team will turn on him like he's doing something wrong. But they already guaranteed this man a lot of money, so they're going to have to figure out a way to make this work. But last year, he was the second leading wide receiver fantasy-wise, averaging 21.5 points per game in PPR leagues. And what was crazy to me, because don't get me wrong, I like Antonio Brown. I have a lot of respect for him. But I think he's losing it, honestly, throwing stuff off of balconies and stuff, hitting babies and whatever else he was doing. He's not all there right now, but the dude can ball. And last year, people were saying Juju was the number one. He even got voted team MVP, right?
Right.
Well, this dude receiving most extra attention from extra dudes in the backfield, leaving Juju to actually have some more wide open catches and better separation than he had. You know, he averaged 12.5 yards per touch. Juju averaged 12.8. 104 touches for AB, 112 for Juju. 7 touchdowns for Juju, 15 for AB. To me, AB is the number one. And it was clear cut. It was clear cut.
I think that you can make that argument, but when you pull up the 2017, when Juju was a rookie, Juju only had 79 targets the whole season. So when you go from 79 targets to almost doubling, or more than doubling, your targets, you definitely went from a clear number one in Antonio Brown to sharing the work between those two. So I don't see him slowing down. I mean, in 2016, he averaged 20.5 fantasy points. 2017, 22.1, and 2018, 21.5. So I think that man just averages 20 points.
Yeah, I mean,
20 plus. I don't
he's
see
consistent.
him ever slowing down.
He's consistent, and he'll probably put up some numbers, but you're going to have weeks where this dude goes out and gets you 3 points, and it's probably going to be in the playoffs.
I think I don't see them getting to the playoffs, but
no, I mean in the fantasy playoffs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, at the very end when you need him to come through.
Yeah.
I really think it depends on what Gruden does with all these draft picks that he has. If he can take some pressure off of Antonio Brown by picking up a good tight end, another wide receiver, I think that they could really do things in Oakland. It's just going to depend. Gruden's either going to look like a genius or a clown, depending on how this whole trade deal works out, especially after trading off probably the number one defensive talent we've seen in the past 5-10 years.
Oh, absolutely. Khalil Mack is as much a game changer as somebody on defense can be. Like, that dude, you saw the effect of him leaving immediately. They are bottom of the barrel at getting to the quarterback at this point. So we'll see what happens. You want to throw out a prediction for what their record will be next year?
Man, I can't say. What about yourself?
I'm going to give them 6-10.
6-10?
6-10.
I would say they at least go 8-8, but we'll see. I guess we'll only time will tell with Oakland and what they need. But another big thing that they're going to need is to get those two old men out of their backfield. You have to have a younger backfield. You can't rely on Doug Martin and Marshawn Lynch. Those two just can't be relied upon.
Don't forget about Jalen Richard. He's the third leading receiver.
They're going to run a three-man backfield. The only reason Jalen Richard got a shot at playing is because Marshawn Lynch hurt himself early.
Bro, they're going to come out in I formation. John Gruden is going to line up Antonio Brown out wide by himself, and the other 10 dudes are going to be in I formation.
1995 college football all over
the
again.
First Madden. That's the playbook that John Gruden is using.
Yeah, I definitely think they need to focus on a backfield. They need to pick up somebody in free agency. Who knows who's left? I couldn't tell you, but they definitely need to get some help in that backfield to help AB get some so he's not in double coverage the whole time this season.
He's going to be double covered, and he's going to freak out. This is either going to end with Derek Carr and AB both going to the Pro Bowl, or this is going to end with AB in a padded room.
I call these two going to the Pro Bowl, hands down.
All right.
Let's talk about Antonio Brown's old teammate, Le'Veon Bell, going to the Jets.
What?
Yeah.
The critically acclaimed rapper is now headed to the New York Jets.
I think we need to find out what his rap name is.
I think that doesn't matter.
It shouldn't.
At all.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
He should have been focusing on football rather than rapping based off those pictures we saw on his jet ski.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he reminded me of Dwayne Haskins. Like, just that face. His face is just full of liquor. That dude has been partying. Everybody here has partied for a little bit, a good amount of time that they shouldn't have been partying. And what does your face look like after you went on, like, an extracurricular summer? That's what this dude looks like, bro. Like, he hasn't lost his baby fat yet.
Yeah, I'm worried. Le'Veon Bell, when he played for Pittsburgh, I call him six-pack Bell back then, and now he's looking more like Keg Bell. Like, this guy went off and decided to make rap albums instead of make $17 million, and just seemed like he let everything go. He stopped running. He stopped weights. He just decided it wasn't worth it for a while. And now he's going to jump back in and stand behind the worst offensive line in the NFL.
Literally the worst.
And I feel like he's just going to cross his fingers.
Literally the worst. Bottom of the barrel. There's 32 teams in the NFL, and they ranked 33rd. So, yeah, I mean, but here's the thing.
Behind Alabama.
Le'Veon Bell, the dude accounts for such a big part of the offense that as long as he gets in football shape, which I think he will, we know it was all about the money with this dude. This dude wanted to get paid. That's why he made the statement he made, and that's why he didn't play last year. But I think he cares about winning also. So,
I don't know. I don't think you go to the Jets if you care that much about winning and not that much about money.
we'll see. You don't know what was said behind closed doors and what they expect to have happen. And maybe he worked out with Sam Darnold, who I don't know what's up with Sam Darnold. Like, is he a good quarterback or not?
Sammy is 100% a good quarterback. I think he's put in a super bad position with the worst offensive line in football and no wide receivers, and Isaiah Crowell is his number one running back.
Bro, don't forget about Bilal Powell.
I
thought he was running for like Senate or something.
Powell broke out like
Vote
one or
Bilal
two games.
Powell.
I think he had one or two games where he gave us some fantasy points.
Actually, he got me into the Super Bowl off of the waiver wire last year in one of my leagues.
Put some respect on his name.
I do,
D.
every time. I would vote for Bilal Powell.
I think this helps out Sam Darnold 100%. Le'Veon Bell
sure.
in the backfield is going to give him at least another outlet to pass that ball before he gets sacked.
Yeah.
The Jets definitely need to look into investing in an offensive line.
You don't want Robbie Anderson to stay? I mean, because you said they didn't have no receivers. Robbie Anderson is a beast.
If we're talking about 3 games, he was.
No,
Let's
4'11" Robbie Anderson in platform cleats is the man. All right.
That dude needs to wear those shoes you were telling me about, those jump soles. He needs to wear those around for a while.
Oh, the ones with the little Z coil in it that make your calves huge? Yeah.
He needs to do something.
But, I mean, Robbie Anderson, he's a good wide receiver. They definitely need some help. But here's the thing. This dude, last time he played, touched the ball 406 times. 406 times. Turned it into 1,946 yards in 15 games. So, in 2014, 373 times, 2,215 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Over his career, every time he touches the ball, he averages 5.2 yards. And he's got 8,000 yards from scrimmage in 5 years.
Yeah, he's a freak.
One of those years, he played 5 games, something like that.
He's definitely a freak. I mean, I think he, for sure, will affect the Jets in a positive way. I just hope his mind is right coming to the Jets and he's ready to play football instead of concentrating on producing new albums.
We'll see. I think hopefully he puts down the Hennessy and Coke and puts up the Raft Life for a little while and comes back to where we love him. The streets don't love him. We love him. Fantasy players love Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell averaged 22.8 fantasy points in the last season that he played. So it would be amazing, in my opinion, if he comes and puts up those numbers again. I don't take anything away from his talent. I put all my faith into that offensive line being terrible and him just getting wrecked. Unless the Jets do something in the draft to help that offensive line, because that man is a sitting duck right now.
Le'Veon Bell's never a sitting duck. That I'm telling you, this dude is going to put. And here's the thing, for you fantasy players out there, don't be surprised if you could get this dude late in the second round, because fantasy sports is all about what have you done for me lately. And I will spend a decent pick on Le'Veon Bell because the dude is amazing. And
you say that, but would you draft him in your first pick?
How deep is the league?
Does 10 or 12?
12-man league.
There's no way I'm spending my first round draft pick on an unknown Le'Veon Bell behind the Jets offensive line. That just doesn't make sense.
Luckily, we have quite a few months, and maybe we'll see something, like a picture of him looking healthy. Not the kind of healthy that your mom wants you to look, the kind of healthy that fantasy football players want you to look.
I think even if that happens, I still don't put him as my number one pick playing for the Jets. I just don't see it.
If I have the
working
last
out.
pick in the first round, which would mean I have the first pick in the next round, one of those 2 picks I would take Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I could see the argument. It just depends on who's left, but I don't know exactly where I would go. I haven't gotten that far in my draft order yet, but I'm not sure I'm seeing Le'Veon Bell in the first round. Not seeing it.
We'll see. I see great things from the great diamond glove studded rapping phenomenon known as Le'Veon Bell.
Well, that being said, let's go to the other problem child of the NFL.
Oh,
and let's talk about...
You must be talking about Odell Beckham Jr.
That is the one and only.
Taking a break from hitting home runs and bicycle kicking soccer balls and joining LeBron James on The Shop talking about how he doesn't like being treated like a circus monkey.
I just don't
OBJ.
understand what this guy's thinking.
I don't know, but this dude can play football.
He is probably one of the most talented wide receivers that I've seen in my lifetime.
He might be one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Just in general, football aside, just athletic, God-given ability. This dude is cream of the crop athletically, except he has weak ankles.
Yeah, but you can't argue with his hands.
Oh, no.
This man can catch everything that gets thrown at him. One-handed, it doesn't matter if it touches his fingers, he's catching the ball.
No, I know.
And he is going to be so dangerous playing with Baker Mayfield. Good old Bakey is going to gunsling to this man every chance that he gets.
Baker Mayfield. I remember I tried to put you on Baker Mayfield last year. I told you, this kid is the real deal. And we were watching Tyrod Taylor run for his life, throwing the ball 85 times, completing it 48% for 473 yards and 2 touchdowns. Who throws the ball 85 times for 470 yards? 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield walks in and is like, hold my beer, and just crushes and brings Cleveland the first win that they had in like over a year. The whole city went nuts.
I'm not sure if they went nuts for Baker Mayfield or for Tyrod Taylor faking a concussion on national TV.
This dude got knocked out by air. He couldn't take air.
He slipped and fell and decided he was done playing for a while.
He was like, oh, it hurts, coach.
I've seen my 2-year-old daughter take harder hits than Tyrod Taylor did with his fake concussion.
But it was the best thing that happened to Cleveland.
It definitely was. And I think that OBJ heading to Cleveland is the second best thing that's going to happen to Cleveland in the coming years.
We'll see. This is another thing. What's your take? What does the next season for Cleveland hold?
I think Odell Beckham Jr. has a quarterback that can throw the ball finally. So I think that in the 2018 season, he averaged 19.2 fantasy points. He received for 1,052 yards. I don't see him doing that again. Everything that he does from now on, he's going for 1,300 yards to 1,500 yards this season.
If he plays.
He's definitely playing.
No, you can't say that. How many full seasons has OBJ played?
Yeah, I just don't think he wanted to get hit and thrown into traffic anymore by Eli Manning.
The great Eli? 2-time Super Bowl winning, 5-time leading the league in interceptions, Eli Manning.
Yes.
Still employed basically because of his last name and that giant 5-head. Yeah.
Exactly. His family legacy has kept him employed for at least 4 years.
At least. But let's talk about Baker real quick. So 486 times he launched the pigskin, 310 times it connected with the receiver, 3,725 yards, 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, close to a 2-to-1 ratio. He can be reckless. The dude throws with no conscience. But his leading receiver is Jarvis Landry, a possession receiver.
Who played with Odell Beckham Jr. since high school.
Oh, they're homies, yeah.
These two they went to LSU together.
Mm-hmm.
They are great together. Like, these two will be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL, especially with Bakey throwing them the ball. Baker Mayfield is going to just throw the ball. And unfortunately, this team, like we've talked about, is the Golden State Warriors of the NFL. They are so stacked on the offensive front that they might be a fantasy nightmare this year. You might not know who's going to get the ball. The only safe bet on Cleveland is going to be Baker Mayfield. Last season, he averaged about 17 fantasy points, a little over throughout the season, throughout the games that he played. But this season, he's definitely going to be throwing more touchdowns. Their backfield can potentially be a three-man backfield for the rest of the season after Game 8.
Yeah, absolutely. Picking up Kareem Hunt on a terrible contract was one of the best things that they could have possibly done. I don't know about future-wise, but for this particular season, it was great. Kareem Hunt had no chips to bring to the table, and they should have forced him into at least a 2-year contract at a minimum.
3. I'm saying 3. Force that man into a 3-year, $4 million deal and tell him you're going to take what you're going to get. But now they have Nick Chubb, they have David Johnson, Duke Johnson, and they're going to have Kareem Hunt after Game 8. So they could potentially run these 3 guys in their backfield from Game 8 to 16, and you're just not going to really know where to go.
The formations are going to be insane.
Exactly.
Because you got Callaway, who is one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. You've got
if only
Njoku.
He could catch the ball.
Yeah. But he's a decoy at least.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to require them to put somebody to follow that guy.
Exactly. And they got Njoku. And
yeah, I mean,
he's you can have a formation where you have 2 slot receivers, Duke Johnson being one of them, Jarvis being the other, and you got 2 receivers out wide, and you could run the ball with Nick Chubb. You know what I mean?
You have Odell Beckham Jr. out wide as well as Callaway. You have Nick Chubb in the backfield. I mean,
Kareem Hunt is an option after Week 8. Kareem Hunt is wild. Last season is last season. But his rookie season, this dude was the number 2 overall, not just running backs, which running backs are normally up there, but number 2 overall. This man ranked as a fantasy producer in PPR leagues.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say anything really bad about the man's play. He played in 11 games in the 2018 season, and he averaged 20.9 fantasy points. So fantasy-wise, he's gold. But
and Chubb is too. From Week 10 to Week 17 last year, he averaged 18 points per game.
Right.
We know he had some huge breakout games. Chubb ran the ball 192 times, 4 yards shy of 1,000, for 10 touchdowns total, because he did also have 20 receptions for 149 yards, 5.2 yards per catch, 5.2 yards per carry. The dude is a 2-possession first down running back. He's the real deal. I tried to tell you about him last year also. Him and Baker Mayfield are the real deal. I know you think this team is a playoff caliber team, but they're going 7-9, and they're all going to fist fight by the end of the season. And Freddie Kitchens is going to be yelling at them, "You're not men! You're not men! None of you!
7-9?
You don't know how to win, OBJ!"
You have these guys in a losing record?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see it. I don't see it. I do see this backfield getting crazy. I hope that they kind of come up with one person that they're going to be going with. I don't see that happening, but for fantasy players at least, I would hope that Nick Chubb at least gets the RB1 slot, even when Kareem Hunt comes back, just because he's doing so well through the first 8.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb is probably, I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think he's going to have consistent numbers. I just think the fact that their defense is bottom of the barrel. We'll see what they do to improve on it, but their defense is absolute garbage.
Definitely. They're going to have to improve.
I don't see them winning games. I just don't see them winning more than maybe 8-8, but I'm going to stick with 7-9. I'm going to stick with Baker Mayfield having a great season. And OBJ if he plays 16 games, will also have a great season. And because of the division they're in, they'll be vying for a playoff spot by the end of the year. They're not going to get it. And Nick Chubb is going to be the most consistent piece of this entire team. And that's my take on it.
I have them going 10-6. Bakey having a huge season, OBJ having a huge season, and Chubb having a good season. We'll see what happens with that backfield. But they do need a ton of help on their defense. Speaking of defenses, let's talk about what we think is happening with the first 10 picks of the NFL draft this year. I'm going to let you take it away. Give me your first 10 picks. I'll give you my first 10 picks, and then we'll talk about them.
All right, so here's what I have. We've got the Cardinals with the number 1 pick. They will be selecting their new head coach's bromance, Kyler Murray, who I have no information for you on the combine results.
Because he's a diva and decided to not participate in the combine.
And we'll get to Kyler Murray. So number 1, I got Kyler Murray, quarterback out of Oklahoma. The Niners, I got taking Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle out of Alabama. I got the Jets taking Nick Bosa, edge rusher out of Ohio State. The Raiders, Josh Allen, edge rusher out of Kentucky. I have your Buccaneers, who need everything, even a quarterback.
Don't hate on Jamie.
Taking Devin White, linebacker out of LSU. I got the Giants, who should be taking Drew Lock or Dwayne Haskins or anything that can throw a ball. But I have them taking Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle out of Florida. I have the Jags taking Rashawn Gary, edge rusher out of Michigan. The Lions with Greedy Williams, cornerback out of LSU. Bills with that freak of nature freight train, Montez Sweat, defensive end out of Mississippi State. And last but not least, for the top 10, I have Denver taking Dwayne Haskins, quarterback out of Ohio State.
Dang, you think they're going to just pass up on Mr. Flacco, huh?
I think they know that that's not the answer.
Don't tell Elway.
You don't have the answer, Sway.
Don't tell Elway that. All right, well, I'm going to go through my 10, and then we'll go over our thoughts. I agree with D on the AZ front. I say Arizona goes after Kyler Murray for whatever reason. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Niners, I say they take Nick Bosa, edge rusher. Jets, I say they need a line. I mean, obviously we've beat that horse. So I say they take Jonah Williams. The Raiders, they go after a pass rusher, Josh Allen, or edge rusher, excuse me. Tampa Bay, my guys, I hope we take Greedy Williams. Giants, I have taking Drew Lock. Jags, in dire need of a tight end, so I say Hawkinson goes there. The Lions, I'm a little torn on. I say they either take Jawana Taylor or Quinnen Williams. Either one I could see really going there. The Bills, I think they need somebody in their receiving core, so I'm saying DK Metcalf. Broncos, I think, also need a wide receiver, and I don't believe that they're going to go after a quarterback. I say A.J. Brown to the Broncos.
Okay. Why would Denver not go after a quarterback? Why? Let me rephrase this question. Why would you ship off the mess you made and then bring in another mess with mold on it because it's been sitting out for a while?
Well,
and not draft a quarterback.
Mainly my belief in this is I don't necessarily disagree with your reasoning. I think the Broncos should definitely take a younger quarterback. I would say Dwayne Haskins, and let him learn under Joe Flacco how to play in the NFL, at least get some tips from him. But what I hear coming from the Broncos, mainly John Elway, saying that he believes that Joe Flacco is just getting into his prime. I don't see them deciding.
Where did you hear that?
That's reported news.
You need to put that on Snopes. You need to check the. You know what? He probably did say that.
I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that he said that to an ESPN reporter.
That is insane. Joe Flacco, do you remember what happened when Kiko Alonso hit him after the slide and the face that he had when his helmet came off? I feel like that's what Joe Flacco looks like every time he gets the ball from the center.
So,
what is John
Sorry.
Elway thinking?
So John Elway just pulled it up. SportsIllustrated.com, BleacherReport.com, USA Today, everywhere you look. John Elway believes Joe Flacco is entering his prime for Broncos. So he really has faith that Joe Flacco is going to take him somewhere. I tend to agree with D. I don't think Joe Flacco is going to do it for him. I see him as a worse Alex Smith. But we'll see what happens. I don't see them trading up on Joe Flacco this year. Maybe they'll wait till next year in the draft, see how Joe Flacco does, and pick up a quarterback next year. But I see them going for a wide receiver, giving him a target this season.
Man, in that division, you got to be able to score. That's the thing, because you're going up against. At this point, we don't know what's going to happen with that circus over in Oakland / San Francisco / San Jose / Las Vegas, whatever they're going to be. And Patrick Mahomes is the real deal. And Phillip Rivers, he's like Joe Flacco, except like easier to watch.
Phillip Rivers is like the little engine that could. Like, that man is, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there,
Do you remember in the first time that they played Kansas City, this last season, and he ran for that first down? Yes. It took like 37 seconds for him to run 4 yards.
That was the happiest I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah,
and
he got up and celebrated like he just won the division.
And I've seen pictures with him and his family. He did not look as happy holding his children.
Cheaper by the dozen.
yeah. He didn't look as happy holding those 12 kids as he did when he ran that first down.
That was really cool to watch. I'm a Phillip Rivers fan. I like the Chargers. I like watching the Chargers play. You know I'm a huge Keenan Allen fan. I draft him every year. In pretty much any fantasy lineup I can get to him at a reasonable draft. Melvin Gordon, beast.
Yeah, he's a
and then
monster.
You got to deal with the Chiefs. And if you think Joe Flacco is going to be the one to navigate those waters, those shark-infested waters, this dude is floating on an inflatable boat, and you want him to navigate the shark-infested waters that is the AFC West.
I'm with you. It's going to be a tough fight for them, but I think Elway has faith in him. So that's why I'm going wide receiver for the Broncos. But I also am going wide receiver for the Bills and taking DK Metcalf just because I feel like they are hurting for everything, and that man is a freak of nature, so I have a feeling they're going to pick him up while they can.
Man, I think the Bills are pretty set on defense, except that they could use a little more quarterback pressure. And that's why I'm saying they're going to take Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is a human freight train, literally. What do you do? 260 pounds? Is that what do we got him at? 6'6", 260, coming at you at 4.4 speed.
I feel like it would be like the Waterboy movie at the end when Bobby Boucher's mom laid out his dad. I feel like that's what would happen.
Do you remember the gardener from Get Out? Like how he's just like running and it's the scariest thing? Yeah. Like if he was running at you, you would definitely move.
I would just
like
fall.
You would not prepare to fight.
Yeah, I would fall. I might cry.
You play dead?
Yeah, I might just curl up in the fetal position and hope that guy doesn't hit me. Who knows?
Montez Sweat is a beast. He is a freak of nature. And I think any team, honestly, not even just his combine numbers, just the way he played, I really do believe that he is deserving to be a top 3 pick.
I agree. I just don't think he's going to be.
No, he's not.
DK Metcalf is also a true freak. This man ran a 4.33 40. He's 6'3", 228 pounds. I don't see him sticking around in the draft very long, so I see the Bills picking him up just because they can get some other people later in the draft, like a Montez Sweat. Unfortunately, I feel like Montez Sweat should 100% go in the first round. I just don't see. I don't know if I see that happening.
No, I agree. No, I don't. He's going. You don't get a guy 6'6", 260 running like Tyreek Hill, and you're gonna just let him go. That's not. But in my top 10, I didn't get to a wide receiver, and there's teams here that need him. I mean, the Jags have to get a wide receiver because, as we know, the Philadelphia Eagles decided to not stick him with the franchise tag and completely screw him over.
Well, before we talk about the Jags, let's go to the Lions, who's our next draft, and then we'll get to the Jags. Let's go with the Lions and your pick for the Lions.
I took Greedy Williams.
I would have agreed with you, but I think Greedy Williams is going to be gone already. So that's why I just think they need to protect Matt Stafford. That guy gets hit more than a doorbell. Like, I don't know what you do but protect him. That's why I feel like they go offensive line with Juwan Taylor.
And nobody can argue with that logic. I just think they don't care about Matt Stafford. Because they've been letting that dude
just get your bell rung
up. Like, when he doesn't get up, we'll deal with it.
If he dies, he dies.
Yes.
Jesus. Yeah, I think the Lions need a lot of help. They have a good a good running back. I don't think they really need help there. They definitely need everything else. They need an offensive line. They need some edge rushers. They need wide receivers. I just see them trying to protect what they have in their running back and in Matt Stafford.
If they do pick up a couple more decent offensive pieces, one more wide receiver and a tight end, Kerryon Johnson's going to be a sleeper RB1 in my opinion.
Yeah,
because I don't because he was hurt so much through last year. Again, in fantasy, it's what have you done for me lately? It is literally the only thing, especially in weekly fantasy, that like you can absolutely love a person and then wish negative energy on their entire life the very next week. I mean, but Kerryon Johnson, to me, he's got the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So our listeners out there that do play fantasy football, whether it be season long or daily, keep an eye out for that dude because that dude can be a fantasy darling. He can catch passes. He can get into the end zone. He's good in the open field. Kerryon Johnson is definitely an RB1.
He's going to be a name. Well, now let's get to the Jags. Let's get to your Jags. Well, not your Jags, but the Jags. Let's talk about what you were talking about, Nicky Foles.
Nick Foles needs help.
Tricky Nicky?
Who is he going to throw the ball to?
Who knows?
Everybody's like, Blake Bortles is terrible. No, the offense is terrible.
They concentrated so hard on their defense for so long that I feel like they just forgot
and
the offense was part of the game.
Blake Bortles was able to come out the previous season and like fire away sometimes, and it looked cool. And people, there were times where I would end up playing somebody in a weekly league, and they started Blake Bortles, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then by the end of the game, I'm like, I hope Zeke just has one of those games, catches 15 passes because Dak Prescott is spinning around in circles, dropping the ball, and can't do anything.
I agree with you that they need somebody for Nicky to pass the ball to, but I think I have a little bit different perspective on it. I say they go Hawkinson, just because they need somebody that could potentially block for him every once in a while and catch passes. So I see them going to Hawkinson instead of a wide receiver.
So you think Hawkinson is a better tight end than Font?
Absolutely not. If it was my pick would be Font. That man is a freak as well. But I feel like Hawkinson has the better tape right now. He looks better to teams. His combine numbers weren't as good as Font's, but I see them sticking with him just because they've seen him play so much.
Do you think they see a little Gronk? Like they're like,
it's hard to say.
He could be our Gronk.
Yeah, maybe. I think he's a lot faster than Gronk, so I think people are thinking he's like a smaller. Well, I don't even know if he's smaller, But
I don't
definitely-
think so.
I definitely think that they see him as a quicker version of him. Maybe.
Do you have his measurements?
You know what? I do. He's 6'5", 220, 251. So he's an inch shorter than Gronk. Maybe weighs.
Yeah,
a
he's
little
like
more.
Gronk-ish.
Yeah, he's Gronkish.
We'll see.
We're
We'll
gonna
see what
start using
happens.
that term.
Yeah,
That's a new term, everybody.
that's a new term.
We're gonna
Gronkish.
start calling people Gronkish.
Gronkish.
Just freaks.
You play 4
Huge.
years, you let your body get torn apart, and then you contemplate retirement every year from 28 to 30.
So let's go to the Giants. I think we semi-agree on what they should do. I think they're actually going to pull the trigger on Drew Lock. You think they should, but you think they're going another direction?
I don't think that there is a single person in that front office that doesn't believe that they owe Eli everything, their firstborn. and don't get me wrong, man. Winning 2 Super Bowl rings, I think people discount how hard it is to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like the path you have to take to win a Super Bowl, which is why
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's a different kind of person.
Yeah, he's a robot.
Like he is the corniest savage in existence.
We're still here. We're still here.
And that was like as wild as he's ever been.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But he's got 2 Super Bowl rings, you know what I mean? But it's done. It's over. They want that
agree.
old thing back, and that old thing's gone, man.
Yeah, they need a divorce.
He's led the league in interceptions far more often than he wins Super Bowls or playoff games, for that matter.
So who did the Giants pick?
And I got them taking Juwan Taylor to try to protect what's left
Old
of
man.
hobbling Eli, just running around and dumping the ball to Saquon Barkley all day.
Old man Manning. Poor
And
Saquon.
Saquon's going to get that Zeke treatment that Zeke got at the beginning of the season
Just
last year.
stacked on him
Yeah.
all the time.
Just running against 9 people. And then everyone's like, what is he doing? He's trying not to die.
I agree. Let's go to my guys. What do you say about my guys? Tampa Bay.
I think that you guys...
We're winning a Super Bowl.
You guys need to sit down and have an intervention with Jameis Winston.
I think
There's no way he's sober.
Jameis Winston might be sober. He just needs help. He literally ate a W. He made a W with his hands, ate it, and thought that was normal behavior for a quarterback.
And some of the team was trying to get into it. I watch that clip once a week. Because to me, it's the funniest thing. It's
Yeah.
like watching the fire drill from The Office. Like, I could watch it once a week easily, and I'll still laugh every time.
That being said, I say we take Greedy Williams because we need so much help at stopping people from scoring on us relentlessly.
You need everything except Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans, I feel so bad for him.
I do too. Because he's going to snap one day.
He's like the savior of Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, he has nobody to help him. He's like, let me just throw the whole team up on my back and carry all of you.
And carry you to 4 wins. I'm going to carry this team to 5-11. Just
We can
watch me do
attribute
it.
all 4 wins to Mike Evans. So who do you have us taking?
I got you guys taking Devin White, linebacker out of LSU. The kid can play. 6 foot, 237, runs a 4.4 40. You guys definitely need somebody to help contain that running game, because if you remember in DFS last year, it was like, oh, who do we pick for this second running back slot? Whoever's playing Tampa Bay.
I feel like it
Or
was
Cincinnati. They were interchangeable.
I feel like it was whoever's playing Tampa Bay. Oh, you could take that quarterback. You could take those wide receivers. You could take that running back.
You want a game stack?
You
this?
could just stack against Tampa Bay every weekend. But I think that's why we need a Greedy Williams, a cornerback. The guy runs a 4.37 40. He's 6'2". I mean, that guy can move. So he's a guy that I could see keeping up with guys like Callaway.
Yeah, I mean, Andreas, right? Greedy Williams, his first name, Andreas.
Yeah.
Something like that. I just know that, the Lions, one of their best, in my opinion, probably their best outside coverage cornerback, he's gone. The Raiders actually ended up picking him up. So I think that they need to replace him, but they need a new football team.
Yeah.
More than anything. They have a good receiver and a good running back.
That's where it ends.
And one good corner.
Well, let's go to our topic of the day, pretty much, the Raiders.
The Raiders. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Who knows?
Keeping up with the Oakland, San Francisco, Las Vegas, San Jose Raiders. There's going to be a reality show, and there's going to be one for Cleveland as well. But I got them taking an edge rusher. I got them taking Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 6'5", 262, ran a 4.6 40. Heck of an edge rusher out of Kentucky. Have you watched any tape on this kid, or did you get to catch any games last season?
I didn't catch many games with him, but I did watch some tape on him, and he is going to do his job this year.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to Khalil Mack anyone.
No.
He's not going to see that ball move out of the center's hand and immediately try to eat the quarterback for dinner.
I don't think anybody alive will Khalil Mack anybody other than Khalil Mack. That guy is a generational talent like we've never seen, and we probably won't see.
We saw one, Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah,
but
it's still different.
And he's not on that level yet.
Right.
But this dude changed the entire culture of Chicago.
If you really think about it, up with one arm.
Yeah, he was carrying offensive linemen and ripping the quarterback down by his pinky toe. Like, you're gonna go down, and there's nothing. And the thing is, with a guy like Khalil Mack, they gotta play for him. So they had rookie linebackers coming in, and Hicks last year, they had awesome seasons as soon as they picked up Khalil Mack.
Yep.
And replacing that dude is going to be hard. I think they start with Josh Allen.
That's one we agree on. I say Josh Allen goes to the Raiders. So since we agree on that, one we don't agree on is the Jets.
Yeah. You got them going offense, right?
I have them going offense. I think that they made the investment with Le'Veon Bell. They need to protect Sam Darnold. So I say they go with Jonah Williams. I mean, the guy's huge, 6'5", 301. He's definitely going to be a good thing to have in these pass rush
He's a
situations.
Thing. He's a good thing.
Yeah,
we need this thing.
He's a good player. I don't know. He's definitely a great lineman. I did watch some tape on him as well, and I think they need the help there the most.
I think if they draft anything besides a running back, a quarterback, and a tight end, it'll be a good draft pick.
That's true.
Because they need help footballing.
Yeah,
altogether.
They just need they need a miracle.
Yeah,
they need something from above to help them.
Exactly, definitely.
Who do you have them taking?
I got them taking Nick Bosa. I got Nick Bosa going to the Jets. I just think that he's still going to be available because I think the Niners are going to take Quinnen Williams. And if Nick Bosa is available, they're going to take him because it's Nick Bosa. His last name's Bosa. He's 6'4", 266, runs a 4.8 40, which for what he does and the footwork that he has and the maneuvers he has off the line, that 40 time doesn't need to be that Montez Sweat time. But he's a big name and a high prospect. He's not my favorite edge rusher. Montez Sweat by far is my favorite pass rusher. Kyler Murray, just like Kyler Murray, to me isn't the best quarterback. Neither is Dwayne Haskins. That's definitely Drew Lock in my opinion. But it's just Nick Bosa has the name. Kyler Murray has the name. And that's the only reason I think they'll end up taking him.
I think that the Niners take Bosa. I think that they feel pretty strong on their offense as long as Jimmy G comes back. And I think that they look to defense and try and get to these quarterbacks faster so that they're able to keep their offense on the field.
Right on. Well, let's wrap it up with Kyler Murray. I know that you think this dude is going to be a snack size, bite size candy bar out there for defensive linemen throughout the league, right?
I do. I think that your ability to run only gets you so far in today's NFL. I think you have to at least be able to sit in the pocket and throw accurately. And I think he's going to have a hard time doing that with those baby hands of his.
I think that he's 5'10". He's probably going to be less than 207 pounds. And if he goes anywhere but the Cardinals, if the Cardinals take Nick Bosa and he goes anywhere but the Cardinals and the Giants, he's going to have a great rookie season if he plays.
I just want to see him play Khalil Mack and see what happens to him. When
You
Khalil
obviously game plan to keep him out of Khalil Mack's reach. Like, Khalil Mack will pick this dude up and eat him.
he might throw him into the stadium.
Khalil Mack, and this isn't to make a play on his intelligence. I'm sure he's an intelligent dude. He went to college. But he reminds me of the big old dude on The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Like this dude, he's like of mice and men. Like, if he actually hurt somebody, he would probably feel really bad. He'd be the first dude calling out the medical staff to get out there and help him. But on his way there, it was like a freight train of destruction. Like, he was Godzilla just storming Tokyo.
I think you're 100%
I love
right.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack is your guy.
Khalil Mack is my favorite defensive player, easily.
Kyler Murray, I think, should have played MLB. I think he would have been better suited there. He is small. We've seen small quarterbacks do good in the NFL. Russell Wilson. I mean, he's the one that we could point to. Drew Brees, he's a shorter quarterback in the NFL that's done well. I just don't think he has that. But I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. I just see him in his little baby hands getting shut down his first season and him realizing he should have went to the MLB.
I think Drew Lock is the best quarterback in this draft, but I think Kyler Murray is going to have a good career.
Well, we'll disagree on the Kyler Murray front. We both think he's going to Arizona, but one of us thinks he's going to be okay. One of us thinks he's going to come out and be a one-hit wonder.
Just be done.
He's going to be done after one season. He's going to be like, I made a mistake. Please, please, A's, give me my contract
Oakland
back.
Well, all right, man. That does it for episode 1. You guys stay tuned for future episodes. We're going to be covering DFS and season-long fantasy leagues. We got the NBA playoffs coming up. There's going to be plenty of future NFL news to go through. So till next time, armchair athletes, keep the remotes close, the lazy boys reclined, and the stat sheets open. Peace.